Caitlin Clark is about to flip the script on everything we thought we knew about the WNBA. She's already stormed the league with record-breaking performances, sold-out arenas, and a magnetism that rivals any basketball star alive, male or female. Yet behind the cheering crowds and soaring TV ratings, there's a much darker undercurrent. Some critics can't stand her meteoric rise. Others say she's exactly what women's basketball needs. Even the league itself feels torn. One thing's for sure, whatever your take on Caitlin Clark, her return this season is poised to be so explosive that nobody, not the fans, not the owners, and certainly not her haters, will be able to ignore it. But how did we even reach this point? What's fueling the resentment that keeps bubbling to the surface, and why are certain insiders worried that one player's stardom could unravel the collective spirit of the league? Stick around. We're diving into every jaw-dropping angle, from whispered controversies to superstar feuds, and the story is wilder than you might imagine. Most basketball phenoms arrive on the scene with a spark. Caitlin Clark showed up with a full-blown firestorm.
Assist herself. Clark, a bomb is good!
Her college feats became legendary. Half-court bombs, triple-doubles, and a will to win that felt almost mythic. By the time she declared for the draft, fans were certain the WNBA was about to change forever. And they were right. From the moment her name was called as the first overall pick, ticket sales for the Indiana Fever soared. National sports channels angled for coverage slots. Journalists penned hyperbolic think pieces praising or lambasting her every move. Initially, it looked like pure celebration, but inside the league offices, there were subtle hints of apprehension. Executives wondered if the WNBA might become the Caitlin Clark Show, overshadowing the depth of talent across all teams. Meanwhile, a few marquee players, quietly or not so quietly, rolled their eyes at how the spotlight seemed fixated on a single rookie. Then came the record-breaking rookie season, and those flickers of doubt morphed into something bigger. Critics wanted to see if she'd crack under pressure or fade once the novelty wore off. Instead, Caitlin soared. Every triple she drilled, every highlight reel pass, only amplified the conversation. And through it all, the question kept growing louder. Is this fair to the league's established stars? The numbers don't lie. In her first year, everything shot up. TV ratings, merchandise sales, social media engagement, you name it. When Caitlin stepped onto a basketball court, the cameras followed. Even those who'd never watched a WNBA game in their lives tuned in just to see that kid from Iowa. For many fans, it was thrilling. Women's basketball was finally getting the coverage it deserved, thanks in large part to a single player's gravitational pull. But among some WNBA veterans, the reaction was mixed. Certain players felt overshadowed. They'd toiled in near anonymity for years, and now along came this young star who instantly dominated headlines. Social media went ablaze with heated debates. Some insisted that the hype around Caitlin was simply the credit overdue to women's basketball. Others hinted it was a sign of biased fan interest. Uncomfortable claims that a white player was being elevated to heights black athletes had been denied. In post-game interviews, you'd see subtle tension, a forced smile here or a dismissive shrug there. And behind the scenes, rumors flew that certain owners were annoyed by the Caitlin effect, hogging all the publicity. The league wanted star power, but had it come in a form that threatened to overshadow the collective? It didn't help that Caitlin was never the type to shrink from the spotlight. She always had this unapologetic swagger, never mean-spirited, but undeniably confident. That swagger made some folks cheer. It made others seethe. Her social media presence boomed, and with each new post or highlight, the fan base seemed to split. On one side, you had the "she can do no wrong" crowd, unwavering in their devotion. On the other, the "she's overrated" folks who desperately pointed to any minor flaw in her game or any stat line that wasn't mind-blowing. But that was just the mild disapproval. A deeper layer of resentment simmered among some corners of the WNBA community. The word racism started surfacing in hush-hush circles, with people claiming that certain fans boosted Caitlin's profile only because she looked a certain way.
Say whatever you want, but if you start to have a racist tone to how you hate, that's when you got a problem. But I love a good fan that...
Online arguments got heated fast, and a few high-profile figures from owners to ex-players stepped in to condemn toxic fan behavior. It became nearly impossible to have a normal conversation about Caitlyn's place in the league without stumbling into debates about race, media bias, and overshadowed veterans. Then there were the half-veiled jabs from some league figures. They'd comment about how it was strange that one newcomer was the face of the WNBA. Some argued the league should showcase entire rosters or place other stars side by side with Caitlyn. From a business perspective, though, the league offices saw her as a gold mine. There was no denying that everything involving her turned a profit, and that meant sponsors, networks, and team owners wanted more Caitlyn, not less. After that whirlwind rookie season, Caitlyn faced a pivotal choice: continue riding the hype or recalibrate for something bigger. Some players chase off-season spotlight by joining international leagues or training in headline-grabbing off-season showcases. Caitlyn had a tempting $1 million offer to play in a new 3-on-3 circuit that was aggressively marketing itself as the next big thing in women's hoops. Then she shocked everyone by saying no. Instead, she vanished into the gym, focusing on strength training, skill drills, and rest. She wanted to attack the next WNBA season at full capacity. Rumors trickled out that she'd put on noticeable muscle, and that her shooting had reached an entirely new level of consistency. Her franchise, the Indiana Fever, took her cue. Management knew they were sitting on a once-in-a-generation ticket seller. So they rebuilt the roster with proven veterans, champions known for big-game performances. They hired a new head coach with a reputation for molding winners. Suddenly, it looked like the Indiana Fever weren't content with being the Caitlyn Clark Show in a rebuilding phase. They wanted to hoist a trophy soon. Critics who once dismissed Caitlyn's numbers as rookie hype realized she'd be coming back sharper, with stronger teammates by her side. The chatter shifted from, is she overshadowing the league? To, is she about to dominate the league? As the new season approached, something remarkable happened. Rival teams started moving select home games to bigger arenas whenever Indiana was scheduled to visit. They'd seen the ticket demand spike last season and wanted to maximize revenue. Some fans joked they were paying the Caitlyn Clark tax, shelling out more to see her in action.
Clark trying to get around Mabry. Clark to the rim, reverses it home through the contact.
Others felt it was exploitation, using one player's name to hike up prices and force fans into premium seat packages. Whichever side you fell on, it was clear that Caitlyn mania was unstoppable. Yet with this rising tide of fandom, longtime supporters of the league expressed unease. They worried about fans who only tuned in for Caitlyn's games. What about the other brilliant players with extraordinary stories? Did their achievements risk being lost in the deafening Clark-centered marketing? Media outlets caught wind of these concerns. Panelists debated whether the WNBA was in danger of becoming a one-star phenomenon, overshadowing the league's breadth of talent. Some argued that the league needs a Jordan figure, a central superstar who can attract mainstream audiences. Others wondered if the overshadowing effect would breed resentment that might eventually fracture the unity the WNBA worked so hard to cultivate. Wherever money floods in, accusations follow. Suddenly, networks clamored to broadcast Fever games in prime slots. Sponsorship deals with Caitlyn's name on them multiplied, from sneaker brands to sports drinks. Clark versus the world, billboards popped up in some cities. Everything Caitlyn touched soared in value, and the financial ripple effect throughout the WNBA was enormous. Haters saw this deluge of cash and attention as proof of their claims that she was being unfairly elevated. They argued that equally stellar players had never been given the same media blitz or endorsement opportunities. Supporters countered that it was about timing. The world had finally warmed up to women's basketball thanks to social media and broader acceptance of women athletes as superstars. Caitlyn just happened to be the perfect face at the perfect moment. Yet behind closed doors, some league owners who publicly championed Caitlyn bristled at how reliant they were on one star for a massive chunk of their marketing windfall. It's one thing to ride the wave, another to realize your revenue might plummet if that single star's fortune changed. So the question lingered: was the WNBA riding a rocket to the moon, or a bubble that could burst if Caitlyn's star power ever dimmed? By the time the 2025 season tipped off, the hype felt uncontainable.
Wheeler finds Clark from the logo. You bet!
Season ticket sales across the league hit record highs. Spots for Indiana Fever games sold out in minutes. Analysts who once cast doubt on Caitlyn's ability to lead a team to the championship began revising their opinions. With a beefed-up roster around her, the Fever looked poised to challenge long-standing powerhouses. Still, the biggest question mark was, could she handle the pressure? Sure, the fans adored her. Yes, the franchise was all in on supporting her growth. But the critics, both inside the WNBA and out, would never let up until she actually brought home the hardware. Anything short of a deep playoff run risked fueling the overhyped star narrative. And that's precisely what her detractors bet on. But as the first month of games unfolded, Caitlyn's improved physique and sharpened skills became undeniable. She was driving to the basket with more aggression, absorbing contact, and dishing out passes from angles that left defenders dizzy. The Fever's new veterans seemed to feed off her energy. Meanwhile, ESPN, TNT, and streaming platforms jockeyed to air Indiana's games. Each broadcast brought in ratings that dwarfed the league's historical averages. It wasn't just about basketball anymore, it was a cultural phenomenon. But that wasn't the entire story. As her star kept soaring, rumors buzzed about tension between Caitlyn and certain veteran stars who disliked being relegated to supporting cast status in highlight reels and national sports debates. Some playful post-game banter turned into social media chaos, with fans on both sides trading barbs. Suddenly, those old questions about race, favoritism, and overshadowing reared their heads anew. Before long, the playoffs loomed, and the chatter grew deafening. Had the WNBA genuinely become the Caitlyn Clark League? Or would the old guard rise up and defend their legacies? Each time the Fever faced another contender, the stakes felt stratospheric. Would a championship prove once and for all that her hype was deserved? Might an upset by one of the established superstars dethrone her media crown? The tension electrified the entire fan base. People who once rolled their eyes at women's basketball found themselves glued to the screen to see if Caitlyn could really do it. And if she faltered for even a moment, the naysayers pounced. The relentless coverage and sold-out arenas inspired some WNBA vets to up their own games, leading to more highlight duels, more buzzer beaters, and more epic showdowns. In a weird twist, the entire league's competition level surged, partly fueled by the desire to take down the new kid once and for all. Of course, no journey of a superstar is free of drama. Whispers began circulating about potential injuries. Could the rigors of an entire season wear her down? Others speculated about doping accusations or shady rumors, though nothing concrete emerged. Some pinned these whispers on overzealous haters eager to sabotage her image. Others worried that if any scandal stuck, the WNBA's golden goose could be tarnished overnight. Meanwhile, talk of league expansion bubbled up. If Caitlyn could single-handedly pull in viewers by the millions, maybe new markets and teams were viable. Sponsors lined up, new TV deals got hammered out, and the WNBA inched closer to a level of financial security it had only dreamed of. Yet the central debate raged on. Was this massive momentum truly about uplifting women's basketball as a whole? Or was it a rocket fueled by a single star's uniqueness? And so we arrive at the crossroads. Caitlyn Clark's presence has become the most polarizing force in the WNBA's history. She inspires record crowds and shatters TV ratings, drawing in fans who never used to pay attention. She also stirs resentment in corners of the league where players, owners, and die-hard fans feel overshadowed. But here's the ironic twist. Even those who hate the spotlight she commands can't deny the league's unprecedented growth. If she leads the Fever deep into the playoffs or nabs an MVP trophy, the old arguments about lack of real success will crumble. Haters might still gripe about preferential coverage, but with receipts like trophies and record-setting TV numbers, their arguments might start to sound hollow. So where does that leave the WNBA and Caitlyn Clark? Potentially on the brink of a golden new era, or at least on the verge of permanently silencing those who said she was overhyped. The real question is whether the league will fully embrace this single superstar spotlight, risking some internal friction, or try to spread attention more evenly, potentially sacrificing a bit of that rocket-like momentum. What do you think? Will Caitlyn Clark's second year in the WNBA blast through every last ceiling, forcing even her loudest critics to acknowledge the unstoppable force she's become? Or will the pressures, controversies, and swirling accusations create stumbling blocks nobody saw coming? Share your take below. As this season unfolds, one thing's certain. Every fan, critic, and owner will be watching with rapt attention, because nobody wants to miss the next chapter in this shocking basketball revolution.